Hey guys, what's going on, dudes? It is David here. We're back with another video. Now, in this video, guys, we shall be discussing Ben Johnson, the former offensive coordinator for Detroit Lions, now head coach of the Chicago Bears. Now, when it comes to Ben Johnson and what is going to be the future like for him, it's going to be interesting to see because I'm not even going to lie, in the recent histories, a lot of offensive coaches haven't really done that well coming from offensive coordinator position into a head coach position. If we look at some of the past, like I guess Sean McVay, you can count as offensive guy, even though I really feel like he's a defensive guy. Um, yeah, that's only him I could really see that's like turned out very, very well. I mean, obviously D'Amico Ryans is the defensive guy. I guess Mike McDonald, you could say, is offensive guy. He came from San Francisco and he's done well with Tua, but Tua's his history has just not been very, very good for the Miami Dolphins. So it'll be interesting to see how Ben Johnson does. But after coming off since 2022, he's been the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, and each of those years they've had a top 5 offense in the NFL. That is absolutely crazy, and considering the amount of trick plays that him and the head coach Dan Campbell have come up with over the past couple of years, it's just amazing to see, and I'm very excited for the future when it comes to Ben Johnson, because I think that this is going to be the best job for him to be in the position of being similarly into the position that he was at Detroit. And funny enough, he chose a division where he's going to be facing his former team at least twice every year. But now with his offense, it's going to be interesting to see how he calls plays and how differently it's going to be from the ones that Dan Campbell was always calling in Detroit. Now, obviously, if we take a look at the offense compared to Detroit's offense had Jared Goff, a veteran quarterback. Running back, they had Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, a two-headed running back. And then the receivers, they had Amon-Ra St. Brown, they had Jameson Williams, they have Sam Laporta, and that was really it after the receivers. Now he goes to Chicago, where they have a second-year quarterback now in Caleb Williams. They have the running back DeAndre Swift. I'd probably say he would probably go out in free agency and probably try and get him like a two-headed running back system like Detroit does and see how he does well with the Chicago thing. Wide receivers, obviously, you got Keenan Allen. You got DJ Moore. You have the guy who just got out of Washington, Romo Dinze, and then at tight end you got Cole Kmet. But the one thing that separates this team, his new team, compared to his old team, is the offensive line. The offensive line needs to protect Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams got sacked, about 68 times last season in the NFL? That needs to be changed. Caleb Williams has to learn when to throw the ball away, and he has to learn when to not try and make a play out of something when there isn't. Getting sacked as a rookie quarterback 68 times is just not going to be good for your team, and it's not going to be good for your health. Because there's a chance that one of these bad tackles could lead up to injury, and we all know Caleb Williams was highly rated coming out of college. He was the number 1 overall pick last year, even though the number 2 overall pick ended up being in the conference championship game. There's a possibility that Caleb Williams can still be good, and with Ben Johnson as his coach, I think that this offense is going to do very, very well. Obviously, in the first year, I think there's going to be some growing pains. I probably don't expect the offense to do that well in the first 5 games, but coming after those 5 games, once they've started to get everything set in stone and come together, I believe the Chicago Bears will start to put up a very good amount of good offense, and I expect Chicago to have at least a better year than they did this year. Obviously, they finished last in their division, and their division was pretty competitive. You had Green Bay playoffs, you had Detroit playoffs, and you had Minnesota playoffs. So the only team that did make the playoffs was Chicago. And Chicago hasn't had a good history of having good head coaches ever since they fired, I think it was Lovie Smith, and he made it to the playoffs, and they fired him for that. I always see that story, and that story just blows my mind. You fired a head coach who had a winning record. And ever since then, you never had a good winning record. You never really had a good team. But hopefully, the future for Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears is very well. And I'm excited to see how he does. I want to know your opinions on the comments down below. If you had to ask my full opinion on this, I believe that this is a good move for Ben Johnson. I don't know how he's going to end up being, and I wouldn't really have high. I mean, he's obviously gonna have high expectations considering the offense that he ran in in Detroit, but still. Next year, at least the offense should get better. Hopefully, he'll be able to get some offensive line for Caleb Williams, protect Caleb Williams, and hopefully we'll see the ascension of Caleb Williams and DJ Moore and Keenan Allen being his top 2 receivers, and Rome Duze being the third option, the big body guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. It'll be interesting to see how he does well in this Chicago Bears team and with the Chicago Bears team going into the future.